So why am I bullish on Polkadot for this bull run? Well, you see, a lot of people tend to disregard Polkadot because it's one of those many coins that actually falls into the category of an old project, a project that's been around for at least one bull run, and therefore everyone seems to think that it's not going to do well in the current bull run. But this is a fatal flaw echoed by so many people in this space. It really does begin frustrating me because what you have to understand is reasons most projects don't do well after their first bull run is just simply because the team aren't upgrading the technology, listening to the community, making necessary upgrades to actually bring it back to life again and make it re-interesting again. If you don't make it interesting and keep up with the current trends and or the technology standards, it's going to fall out of favor and it's going to be replaced by newer coins. Now, Polkadot, right, while it's a somewhat old coin, it's at the bleeding edge of technology, but better yet, its fully decentralized governance structure has allowed it to keep in trend with whatever's happening in its area. Now, today I'm going to go over some of these upgrades, and mind you, there are quite a few upgrades that, again, make me believe Polkadot is going to blow past previous all-time highs, and I truly do think many people are going to end up saying to themselves, why didn't we listen? Why didn't we see all the amazing updates and writing on the wall when it was proposed back in August of 2024? I wish I listened. And I'm not just saying that because I can say that. I genuinely do mean this coin is amazing. And I think a cornerstone of that is it's pretty much governed right now by the community. The community wants something based on needs, based on what they find appealing in a coin, and they propose it. And the proposal can be voted upon by the community and therefore put in action. That's what we're seeing here. Strap yourselves in. This is going to be a good one. Now, of course, before we begin, guys, if you're a DOT holder, if you're a DOT fan, or matter of fact, if you find yourself enjoying the content or learning something new, drop down there and hit that like button and also subscribe. Not only will you be subscribed to the best place and platform in crypto, but you'll make me sing in the shower tonight, and I think that is a far more important thing than anything else. So before I dive into some of these updates today, I've got to say, guys, we have a few more hours left by the timing of the upload of this video for you to get in before the contest for the 10,000 USDT and PYTH airdrop over at CoinW. First link down below, guys. Make sure you read the rules. First and best dress. We'll be doing this competition over 20 days. The more volume you create by just simply trading futures, right, just simply doing your thing, you'll be able to get an airdrop here of up to and extending 1,000 USDT and more. So guys, I'm telling you right now, if you love PYTH, if you love making money, if you just simply want to trade, go to CoinW, link down below. Now, I've also got to give a little bit of props over here to a gentleman named Pablo, aka Mr. Kusama himself. He's actually outlined a few very important updates. I'll pretty much be covering most of these in today's video, and he does it in dot point form. So if you want a screenshot and just have a quick rundown, this is all you need to know. Of course, I'll be covering things in a bit more detail, but needless to say, I think a big part of what makes a project good is not only its appeal to the masses, right, retail market. You can have all the institutions and all the enterprises like the Web2 market. You can have all those dudes, the suits and ties interested in your project. But what's going to really move the market this bull run for a coin is retail, is you and I, right? And that's speculation. So you can make a project as appealing as it needs to possibly be, and you can honestly have nothing happening on the back end, and that's fine, right? You'll get a pretty good surge. But Polkadot's this weird coin where it's got that happening, but the back end is actually appealing as well, because the back end, as you'll see in just a second here, is actually going to be enticing more people to sign up, which is why I think we'll blow past previous all-time highs. One of these such updates here is the fact that they're reducing inflation. Now, inflation is very important for a project. Many people have this wrong idea that inflation is bad, but inflation is the way in which the project pays validators and miners, okay? You can't have a project running security-wise, all right, the infrastructure, the very machines and computers that run the software, if the project isn't paying these people to do that work. No one works for free in this world. I don't care who you are, right? There's always a motive. If it's not money, it's something else, okay? So basically, Polkadot is looking to change this sort of payment, this inflation from 10%, in which it split up these rewards two ways, some to the stakers, some to the treasury, and bring it down to 6 to 8%. Now, every percent when we're talking about this matters because inflation in these projects like Polkadot isn't a linear thing. It's not 10% inflation based on 1 billion tokens. That would be 100 million tokens each year. It's 10% inflation year on year. So you have 1 billion tokens one year, you might have 100 million tokens emitted for inflation the first year, but now you have 1.1 billion tokens the second year, and that 10% is now calculated, actually daily, on the 1.1 billion DOT, or tokens in supply, which means that actually we have exponential looking inflation, which is very bad. So Polkadot's bringing this down. They're also looking to change, I believe, the staking rate. Right now it's about 60%, which ultimately can mean that the treasury at sometimes can run dry because you hit a point where once the staking percentage, right, how much stake to the protocol, if you have 60% or more, there's no money going towards the treasury. It's only to stakers. Any less, and then you do have some going to the treasury, which is seemingly bad because Polkadot is heavily pushing their marketing right now, but that's for good reason. We'll talk about it later on. So needless to say, again, staking is very important, and the fact that they're moving down the inflation rate, is actually a very good thing. They're also looking to propose another way in which they can potentially make this more appealing for retail, right? Speculators, us. And another way has been proposed by Gavin to also cap the basically the supply of Polkadot as well. Now, if this actually passes, it'll be a fantastic update. But again, there are, of course, pros and cons to every side of the story. So either way, first up, very important, inflation is reducing. To cut a very long story, I guess long, right? You heard the long of it. Now, what they're also looking to do here is, in regards to staking, is reduce the unlock period from 30 days to 2 days. So previously, one of the reasons why I never wanted to stake my DOT, no matter how good the rewards were, it's about 6 to 8%, rewards on, beating inflation, was the fact that it would take a whole month to unlock, which could be the difference between you being able to sell your coins, okay, and missing out the mark completely. I mean, who wants to run the risk of possibly missing the selling of their tokens because they were waiting for the unlock? No one can see a month ahead, and a month ahead in crypto is like a whole entire year, right? So they're moving it to 2 days. I find this is absolutely fantastic, and this is going to incentivize more people to want to come on board and actually stake their DOT. Like I said, the back end here is working positively as well for the whole selling point of the project, the meme of the project, because more people will want to stake their DOT, especially now because the inflation is also reducing. Not only this, developers will likely find the project even more appealing than it was already. Believe you me, Polkadot's one of the most heavily developer-focused and bringing on some of the most developers in the entire space, and they're looking now to add a native layer 1 called the Plaza to the protocol. Now, this is pretty cool, right? Because we have many different smart contract focused, like DApp focused parachains out there, okay? And a lot of these are nuanced, right? You have a Kala for DeFi, you have Moonbeam for a whole bunch of things, right? Same with Acer Network, and it just begins to go expansive from there. But having a native layer 1, pretty much a Polkadot layer 1 built on top of it, is fantastic because developers now can have a happy little middle ground, right? There's no fighting for their competition. This, in a way, was proposed, I think, many months ago. And one of the key things that came up was, well, hey, what does that mean for these generalized smart contract platforms like Aster and Moonbeam? Well, ultimately speaking, what I truly do believe is they're going to have to find a more unique selling point, right? They're going to have to find a way in which they're going to incentivize developers to use them because of this reason, because of reason X. And I think that this is, but still a great decision to do, because it's going to allow applications to be spun up without much hesitation from the developer side of things. A big part of being a developer, whether you guys know it or not, is choosing where to build your application natively. This is pretty much building natively on Polkadot. It's faster and it's more interoperable than any other pretty much layer 1 or parachain in the DOT ecosystem as far as I understand it. But not only this, they're also building another bridge. They have the Snow Bridge. Now they're building the Hyperbridge. The Hyperbridge, right? This Hyperbridge is a connection point between Ethereum and DOT and other networks as well. So it's kind of like more a universal bridge than the Snow Bridge, as I understand it, which is of course great because developers want a project or a platform they're building on to be highly connected to the other ecosystems. And because Polkadot coined a very unique and robust type of messaging protocol called the cross-chain messaging protocol, it allows very complicated transactions to be sent to different networks. So we have this. We also have the switch from kind of like this parachain auction model to block space, where you pretty much, or developers can create their own layer 1 project on Polkadot in a way to just simply pay as they go. So this is project 1 over here. You might have project 2 spin up and just hire out a bunch of block space. So you can pretty much think of block space just like the data or the page on a ledger, right? You can pretty much say, hey, I want the first 10 lines of the ledger, on the first 10 lines of the book, every single block, right? And they pay as they go. They pay for how much they use of the computational resources of Polkadot. And so, of course, this is important as well, because this is going to remove the very clunky and old-fashioned auction model of these parachains, which honestly is a pretty old and shocking model, to something now that's going to be more applicable for the smaller layer 1 or the smaller project to come on board and actually have the full function of a layer 1 for much, much cheaper, or at least pay for less, experiment, and if they actually want to go live, they can. Now, speaking of going live on Polkadot, another huge update here was this. Mythical Games actually put their network and all of their NFTs and have now fully migrated over to Polkadot. This is pretty big. I honestly hadn't heard of the Mythical Games project before, but apparently this is pretty big, right? These guys are a full suite gaming project, right? So you can compare this like IMX. And the reason why they chose Polkadot over perhaps Ethereum, which is where I think they were before, or Solana, or any other fast Web3 focused layer 1 or layer 0, was because of these reasons, right? Stability. Polkadot is very secure and it's live. It does not go down. There's 1,000 validators on here, a whole bunch of nominators. It ain't going down. Also very high throughput. And I guess they see the fact that it's also highly interconnectable as well with the current Snow Bridge. So this was on, I think, July, right, last month, the amount of transactions that were pretty much brought on to Mythos, which is their now parachain on Polkadot. We had 3.5 million transactions in this month. So I guess the fact that we have projects porting over to Polkadot is a very good sign. And again, it's a true testament to the reason why we see these stats where a lot of the developers now are choosing specifically Polkadot over all these other seemingly better, and again, here's the key word, new networks like Solana. It's because Polkadot, while right now it doesn't seem as the end user like the best place to be because it's not the most hyped up project in the world, for developers, they're looking for robustness, they're looking for simplicity, they're looking for security, they're looking to be interoperable with the whole entire ecosystem, which is, again, a big pinnacle part of Polkadot. There's a whole bunch of stuff they're looking to do here, scalability, and this is what Polkadot offers on the back end. Now, of course, wherever the developers go, people will flock. It just takes a bit of time. Another reason here is there's a bid for TikTok in the US, right? There's currently a project out there run by a guy called Frank McCourt, I believe. He's created a project called Project Liberty, looking to actually purchase TikTok in a sort of bidding war, if you will, and then put that on chain. Now, his chain's already established, right? This chain over here is actually alive and well. It's called One Frequency. Okay, it's a part of this Project Liberty. And he created this on Polkadot. You can see here, Frequency at one point had a lot of transactions on Dot. And actually, matter of fact, if you come over to the transaction list over here, you can actually see that it's on the top sort of 10, 20 on this list pretty frequently, right? We can see over here in June, it was the #1 spot, even ahead of the likes of Fowler, which has been dominating this. You can see frequency at the very, very top there. So it's quite impressive. And if they actually win the rights to purchase, right, in this bidding war, TikTok, they'll put it on their chain, which is a chain designed for the protection of users' data, right? Especially around social media. These large companies like TikTok, Google, Facebook, and so on, they scrape your information and they sell it to the big boys, right? The advertisers. And ultimately speaking, guess what? It's more expensive than digital gold at this point. So they're looking to bring back some sort of sovereignty towards data, which is a great thing that crypto, I think, can provide. And of course, given the fact that, by the way, this guy's a multi-billionaire, has chosen Polkadot to launch this particular layer 1, and then also, if he can, put TikTok on it, I mean, that's incredible. Obviously, for good reason, this is causing quite a pretty big buzz in the Polkadot ecosystem as well. Now, of course, I don't want to talk too much about this because I've made a whole entire video already on it, but also there's an update possibly coming to Polkadot called Jam. Now, Jam, in effect, is essentially its own protocol. It's pretty much a different project to Polkadot, but if proposed, will actually be kind of like meshed into Polkadot And this is coming, I think, within the next 12 or so months, at least proposed by Gavin. This will be a pretty large jump for Polkadot, but will increase the throughput, will kind of change the whole dynamic of Polkadot. Obviously, fundamentals are the same, still the same project, but how it functions will pretty much be unleashed. Kind of like upgrading an engine, right? If you pretty much have an engine that's really constricted, going in there, tuning it to have an extra, 500-600 horsepower. That's essentially what Jam will have, basically, right? So guys, with some of these updates, you can obviously tell that Polkadot is becoming a pretty interesting project. Again, not just because it's fitting into like the whole mimetic side of things, but also because it's becoming a very appealing project on the back end for developers and genuinely a good place for users to actually stake and so on. So I think it'll blow past the previous all-time high. I'm not going to throw a price prediction out there. I've made many other videos on Polkadot and its price predictions. This one I will leave alone. But if you do want to learn more about Polkadot and you wanted to hear some more of the updates, specifically one over the other, right? If one of these updates interested you more than the next, let me know down below which one that was. And in the next Polkadot video, I may also cover that as well. Thanks guys. Talk to you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.